Hi, it's Jennie and Laurie, and we're going to talk now about those of you who are born at the full moon. First of all, what does the full moon mean astronomically? I think we all know, but let's just touch on that a bit.
That's right. It is when the sun and the moon are opposite from each other, and the sun is shining all its light on that bright moon, so you get to see it.
Right.
This is when the moon rises as the sun sets. So they're really on these completely opposite ends. So I always want to see that moon rise. I'm always seeking out where can I go see the moon rise because it's pretty awesome.
Yeah,
And it can
is.
look like a little copper penny, it's
Yeah,
really awesome.
it really
So,
is
yeah.
awesome. So how do we know if we're born during the full moon? First thing, before I open up our little example thing, I want to say, if you look at your chart and you see the sun and moon are opposite each other and in an opposition aspect, that does not necessarily mean you were born at the full moon. So let's open up our little example here. We have the sun positioned here at 0 degrees Aries. Now you are going to know that you were born at, hang on one second. You're going to know you were born at the full moon if your moon is somewhere between 0 degrees Libra and 15 degrees Scorpio. So what we are really looking for is the moon being 180 to 135 degrees behind the sun. So we've switched positions with the earlier videos. We've been talking about the moon being ahead of the sun. Now the moon is behind the sun. Okay. So always remember there are 30 degrees in each sign. So we're going to back up behind the sun to look for the full moon, and it will be between those two positions. So count out your degrees and remember, if it's anything before that point that is exactly opposite, even if it's just a few degrees, your gibbous moon, not full moon. Okay. So
Yeah.
if we're born at the full moon, what does that mean about us and our lives and how we approach things?
Oh, it's an exciting phase because really this is the midpoint of the whole cycle. So this is kind of like you set out to climb the mountain. Well, now you're on the mountain peak. And
Exactly.
so there's nowhere to go from here but back down the trail, right? Down a different trail, perhaps. So we're really at that peak point. And I think maybe the easiest way to talk about it, Laurie, is what you said about in our little pre-discussion about this is when the flower has bloomed. So the whole job of that flower at this point is to look beautiful and to attract pollinators and to just attract relationship. So a keynote to a full moon person is going to be relationship. There's going to be something very important about something you're here to learn about relating to other people. And part of this is because with a full moon aspect, it's going to be very important to become more aware of your conscious purpose. You're going to be becoming more self-aware and have a greater understanding. And all that is going to be reflected in your external relationships. Right. So relationships, very important.
Right. Absolutely. And, one of the ways I think about these phases of the moon is in relation to past lives. I think of us as having series of lifetimes relating to each of the phases of the moon. So this would be the lifetime where you really discover and understand your full purpose. It's the full illumination of your purpose, which, like you said, it's to attract, it's to, and what your purpose is that is fully illuminated in this lifetime. It's not like it's going to fall on your head. You have to, take the action of intellectually paying attention to your life and seeing what that purpose is. But it is evident in this lifetime.
Yeah, and you're really making a transition where the first half of the cycle is really about instinctual bodily awareness, like where you're kind of driving forwards because that's sort of what you must do. And at this point really becomes, I hate to use the word, but it is a pivot point.
Yeah.
It's such an overused word right now. But anyway, it really is a pivot away from build to, okay, let's have meaning. what is the meaning of all that activity and building you just did in the first half of the cycle?
Right.
So those are going to be some of your concerns
Right.
as a full moon person, is you're making that transition away from instinctive and taking it to a higher level of awareness.
Oh, I
And that's
love that.
really what you're doing.
Yeah, that really is interesting to think in terms of that being the pivot point from growth to awareness and usefulness, or
Mhm.
doing something with that. So another thing I want to say is that everybody talks a lot about the full moon because it is so obvious in the night sky. We see it. But for you specifically, this really is your monthly resonance. You resonate to this phase in a very, very powerful way. Much like, on our birthday, the sun is shining on our sun and we resonate with that season. We resonate with that period of time. Well, this each month at the full moon, you truly resonate to that. So go out, stand under that moon, soak that in. That is your resonance. So look for that purpose. Find where you are expressing that beauty of that open flower, that full illumination, and making meaning with that.
Yeah. Yeah, and I love that image of going out and looking at it. I mean, when you're born at the full moon, like polarity, it's all about this polarity, this opposition, where you're really needing to look at two very different forces and work with them together. I mean, that's kind of your path. So this gives you new information about how the sun and the moon relate together and how to kind of wield both of those very different energies. So it's very dynamic. Again, the idea here is to learn how to work with both and honor both. You're not cutting off one at the expense of the other. You really are learning to work. It's almost like you have to be the fulcrum where you're going to balance these two very different energies. And that's what you're heading for. And also in our house analogy, where you've built the house is finished, but now you're moving in and you're making it a home. So that's how you make that transition from building to meaning. So
that's lovely. That's lovely. So you finally got the roof on and the trucks have pulled up, you're unloading everything and beginning to make it a home. I love that. That's a great way to think about it. So get out there at the next full moon and soak it up.
Awesome.
Thank you all. Bye-bye.